Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. Hope everybody's well, hope everyone's having a nice week. And forecast today is certainly a lot better than it was on the last video. Thankfully all them big storms have now blown through and it's just left us a little bit of rain, a little bit of drizzle, hence the reason for the tarp being set up behind me. So what I thought we'd do in today's video is talk about first aid kits. Now I was inspired to do this video by watching Sal's video. I will leave the link to Sal's channel. He did have a little bit of an injury and it was nice just to see the way in which he dealt with it and also the things which he carried in his first aid kit. So what I thought we'd do is talk about the items which I like to carry, whether it's a pre-made one which you can buy or perhaps something which you're making up yourself. I'm just going to run through the kit, the pouches and that kind of thing. But just before we do that, I have got a couple of thanks which I'd like to give to people. And one of those is to Wal from Wal's Wild Camping. Apologies about the sunlight coming through and mottling everything, but unfortunately there's nothing we can do about that. So what he'd actually got me, or sent me should I say, is an awesome beanie. So cheers for this, Wal. Absolutely chuffed to bits with it, mate. And he actually commissioned Andrew at the Rustic Artisan to make these for us, and Andrew has done an awesome job there on the leather work. He's made these patches for them, which is sewn on there. Not sure the camera's picking it up, but great piece of work, and I'm sure I'll be wearing that in a minute. And then just inside the packet which he sent, he also included another little leather patch there, and he's put Velcro on the back of that, so I'll probably put that on the rucksack or a jacket or something like that. So thanks again to Wal for commissioning Andrew, and also I'd just like to thank Andrew for making the things and sending them over. So like I say, we're just going to start talking about the first aid kits. We probably will just have to get under the tarp there. So just have himself a quick swig of tea and we'll get stuck into it. Okay, so what I've just brought out with me are 4 kits which I've had for a numerous amount of time now. Some which I use quite regular, or carry quite regular should I say, and some which I don't tend to carry so much anymore. So just starting off with probably the most popular ones out there, which are the pre-made first aid kits. So I've got a couple there made by Life Systems, and Life Systems in my opinion make probably some of the best first aid kits out there. They do various selections, so they do everything from a hiking one all the way up to a mountaineering leaders pack. So there's quite a big choice really in the kind of things that you can buy, and certainly for the kind of activities which you're going to choose, you're better off perhaps selecting a first aid kit to match. So the cheapest ones really which you can buy are these small little pocket first aid kits, and you don't get a great deal of items in them. They're mainly just made more for cuts, grazes, strains, sprains, that kind of thing. You tend to get similar kind of things in the majority of these kind of first aid kits. So you usually get a pair of gloves, a small little packet there of plasters, which I have added a few more of my own, some kind of triangular bandage, so if you've sprained an arm or perhaps you've fractured something and you just want to strap things up, you tend to get one of those. Some kind of larger dressing. You usually get some antiseptic wipes and then an elasticated bandage. And that's pretty much it. They sometimes give you safety clips and perhaps a little pair of scissors. That's the kit done. But one thing which I always tend to add is a little bottle there, or a little vial of water, and again you can use them to flush out any kind of dirt that you may have in the wounds, or perhaps an eye injury and that kind of thing. So if it is that you're just going to do a little bit of walking, perhaps not expecting too many injuries or accidents and that kind of thing, and then you could go with something like this, and like I said, they're going to cost you around about £10. If it is that you wanted to go a little bit more extravagant and perhaps carry more items, then you could perhaps go with the bigger first aid kits, this one being the mountain first aid kit. Unfortunately I don't have all the items in here which come with the original pack. This one's around about 10 years old, so all the items would have gone out of date anyway. But as you can see there, you do get a lot bigger pack, and the items in there, you do get a lot more of them, and they tend to be a lot bigger, so things for bigger injuries, trips, cuts, sprains, that kind of thing. The things which really you're going to get perhaps if you're out mountaineering, you know, them kind of injuries, it just means then you're going to be covered with one of the larger first aid kits, and these kind of things can set you back around about £30–40. But what I tend to do nowadays, I tend to make up my own first aid kits. It just means then I've got the option of being able to put whatever items it is that I want to put in them. So certainly for woodland use, you're going to be using sharp knives, you're going to be using axes, you're going to be making fires, cooking around open fires, that kind of thing. So for that, I do tend to prefer to make up my own packs and put in the items which I choose. So we're just going to open them up. Like I say, I'm going to talk about the pouches, the dimensions, the kind of things which are in them, and hopefully it might give you a little bit of food for thought, or if it is that you're new to this game, just give you a couple of ideas about the kind of things which you want to carry. Okay, so the first little made up kit which we'll run through is this one here. And this is just a small little cuts kit basically. Keeping it in a small little pouch means I can actually just keep it on my person, but majority of the time I tend just to keep it just where I can access it quite quickly. So if I bring out this pack, there's a nice little pocket at the front there, which means I know where the kit is. I can get to it quite quickly. So these kind of things I just keep in a Cordura case, nice hard wearing case. It's not 100% waterproof, but it is a PU coated, so it's going to stop a lot of the items from getting wet if you do get caught out in the rain. Well, the kind of items which I carry, I'll just lay down on the ground here now, and we'll just run through them. There's not really a great deal of items in the kit itself, but it's just confidence wise knowing I can deal with any kind of small cuts, abrasions and that kind of thing. So just starting off, a pair of gloves which I tend to use on other people. I don't tend to use them so much if I'm just dealing with myself, but it's just nice just to keep them in there, like I say, just if you do have to deal with somebody else's injuries. And for the size of the pouch, you can keep quite a few items in there. So that's a little cuts kit there. And what we've got, it consists of the bog standard antiseptic wipes. I tend to carry between 4 and 6 of those. So we've got there steady strips, so if the cut's a little bit larger, you're perhaps just needing just a little bit of aid, just help it to stick together. And these kind of things you can pick up quite cheap off Amazon, eBay and them kind of things. Also a wound clot. This is only a small one, a 5cm by 5cm. And what these do, you put it over the cut itself, and it actually reacts and mixes with the blood. It starts to help congeal and stop any kind of bleeding. A larger dressing. This is got sticky on the back, so you haven't got to worry about applying any kind of tape or anything like that. That'll just stick directly over the wound. And then just a small little packet there of plasters, various different sizes, and then just another low adherent dressing which I'll probably use with the tape. But I'm not a huge fan of plasters as such. Certainly with the job which I do, if you do get a cut, everything tends to stay wet all the time, and when you're dipping your hands in the water, that the plasters are always wet, and when you try to put your hands in gloves, that kind of thing, that the plasters tend to come off. So one thing which I do carry is a little vial there of liquid skin, and it works in exactly the same kind of manner as what one of the plasters does, except with this, you just snap off the little top there, and then you just apply it just over the wound. And it applies a coating over the top which is flexible, waterproof, and it means then that if you've got cuts on your fingers, certainly on your knuckles and that kind of thing, it means that it'll follow the contours and it'll stretch, and it'll save the plaster from coming off, and it does work really well. And then just a small little piezo, and then these are the kind of things that you use on insect bites. Just gives a mild little shock, and it's supposed to stop any kind of irritation, just stops the itching and that kind of thing. And again, you can pick these up quite cheaply. And then just a small little roll of tape, just in case we've got to start taping any of the dressings on. So like I say, just a real small little kit. This is the kind of thing which I tend to go to if I've got any small kind of nicks or cuts. Perhaps I've been doing a little bit of carving, or perhaps get splinters or like grazes, that kind of thing. It just means then that you can deal with the injuries without having to carry or get into the main pack itself, and it means that you've always got something at hand. Okay, so running alongside the little cuts kit, I do carry my own personal first aid kit. There's enough items in here for myself if I'm on an overnighter, perhaps bigger injuries. There's stuff here for burns, larger cuts, that kind of thing. Plus also if you're in a group, there's enough items in here to cope with my own injuries, plus other people's. So just starting off with the pouch itself, these pouches are absolutely awesome. This is a Maxpedition, it's what's referred to as an FR1 pouch, and the FR just standing for first responder. But I know these kind of pouches people use for EDCs. You know, I used to use one for my shooting kit years ago, and you know, as a pouch itself, absolutely bomb-proof. So this one's, I'd say, around about 5 years old. It does look really clean and tidy. I don't use it a great deal, and that means then I haven't had too many injuries. But if you're looking for a good quality pouch, you're not going to go far wrong with one of these. They cost around about £40, so they are quite expensive. But it is 1000D ballistic nylon, YKK zippers. Got plenty of molly just on the sides and on the back, so you can attach that onto a rucksack. You can also buy a little shoulder strap if you want to carry it just over your shoulder. But like I say, absolutely awesome for your first aid kits or EDCs or whatever it is that you want to put in it. So the dimensions are 7 inches by around about 4 inches, and they expand quite a bit. This, I'd say, around about 4, maybe 5 inches wide. This is fully filled out. And one of the items which I do like with it is the hidden sleeve just at the back at the Velcro tab here. And with these kind of pouches, various different colours. This one's the OD green, you can get them in black, you can get them in grey, and they also do make a red one. And I've got the Velcro strip, like I was saying. Perhaps I should put some kind of, you know, identification on there just to show that it's a first aid kit, just in case I'm the one that's injured and someone has to find the first aid kit in the rucksack. So you've got the facility to do that, but just at the back with the Velcro strip, there's a little sleeve there which will hold a flashlight. And it's always a good idea just to put a flashlight in the first aid kit, so if you've got any kind of injuries at night, it just means then you've got some kind of way of seeing it. And also if you've got your first aid kit and you're looking for a spare flashlight, it just means there that you can carry one just with the kit itself. So when it comes to opening up the pouch, like I said, it's a clamshell design, so we just pull both of the zippers down and all the first aid kit will open up. And then just got this cordage which just runs through the pouch itself. It just means that you can adjust how far the pouch will open when you undo the zips. So good quality YKK zippers all the way through, PU coating, so it has got an element of waterproofness with it. So what we'll do, we'll just pan the camera down and just take a close look at some of the items. So if we just start off just in this side first, like I said, there's plenty of elastic straps so that you can hold everything down, so that when you do open up the pouch, all your items don't spill out and all go onto the dirt. So we're just carrying just a medium-sized wound dressing. Like I say, everything in this pouch is contained or aimed more for the larger injuries. So we've got a medium wound dressing there, and just under that strap there we've got the tourniquet. So with all this kind of stuff, probably the best advice that can be given is do some kind of first aid course. Now before using a lot of this stuff, it's, you know, certainly worth getting trained on how to use it, but also how to deal with the injuries themselves. So people like the St John's Ambulance, the Red Cross, or if you just look online, there's plenty of first aid courses out there which you can do. And with today's health and safety crazy world, a lot of companies send employees out on first aid courses anyway, so there's more and more people being trained up. So for the larger injuries, like I say, we've got the tourniquet. I've also got the medium-sized dressing there. I also carry an Israeli bandage just in this other section here, which we'll run through in a second. So even with your first aid kit, it's worth knowing, you know, where your items are. There's nothing worse than somebody being injured and you panicking, you know, trying to find a dressing or trying to find something to deal with it. So just, you know, organising your first aid kit so that you can find the items that you need straight away. So things like the gloves are always at the front, just in case I've got to deal with somebody else. I know I haven't got to start rummaging through the pack just to find the first things, which would be a pair of gloves. So just on the back side of this, we've got the zippered pocket, but before we go any further, one thing which I do like to carry is a whistle. If I'm on my own and I'm injured, having some way of signalling help is always worth carrying in your first aid kit, or again you could perhaps just keep that on your person. So another YKK zipper, like I'm saying, it's good quality built all the way through the pouch. And the pocket itself does hold quite a number of items. So just starting off with the Z gauze, so there's plenty of gauze there. I think it's around about 4 yards or 4 metres. Yeah, 4 yards of gauze there, been compressed down. So you could use that as a gauze, or you could just use that just to mop up any bleeding, that kind of thing. Again, just like the small cuts kit, I do carry a couple of packs of steady strips. Again, just to help any cuts that may need sticking together. A small little tick card with magnifying glass on, depending on where you are in the country. Lyme's disease is one of the last things that you want to get, so just having some way of just removing ticks if you do find any, or you do get any. And again, these are perfect if you've got dogs and that kind of thing, just help to rid those. And then just a small little Life Ventures mirror, so perfect for just seeing any injuries in your eye, that kind of thing, but also just to check that the hairstyle's not too bad. So as you can see, that's obviously been in there for a number of years. And then that just brings us just onto the other side. Like I say, the first thing which I want to get to would be probably the gloves. So I always carry 1 or 2 pairs of gloves. And just like the small kit again, got a selection of wet wipes or alcohol wipe, well, these alcohol free wipes, but clean sterilising wipes anyway. Another roll of tape, I'll leave that on there, saves pulling it off. And then one thing which comes with some of the first aid kits is a little chem light. Again, it's nice just to be able to light up the area, or perhaps you want to signal somebody if you need any kind of help. A couple of small little vials or bottles of water. Again, these are perfect for if you've got things in your eye or getting any kind of dirt out of wounds, because I tell you what, when you do go down the hospital and they start getting the dirt out of the wounds, you know, it's probably worse than being stitched up. And then just running alongside the larger cuts is a quick clot. This is one of the ones where all the granules are inside the bags, and again, you can put this over a wound. You could use it in conjunction with a bandage or perhaps an Israeli bandage, and this will control, you know, quite a strong bleed. And the beauty about these, they're X-ray detectable, I think I mentioned in the past. So if you do actually stuff one of these into a wound, it means then once it gets X-rayed, this will actually be picked up by the X-ray machine and won't be sewn into the wound. As we all know, we do like fires, so having some way of being able to sort out a burn. This burn shield is good stuff, whether it's boiling water, fat, or perhaps you just burn yourself on a flame. It can be used for various different kind of burns. You can actually feel just through the packet how cold that actually feels. This was the Israeli bandage which I was referring to. These are certainly worth buying, and very, very common at one time. I'm not sure how popular they are now to buy, but you could buy these quite cheap. And the beauty of them is you can actually tighten them up to help control any kind of bleed. So if you've got a serious bleed, you could perhaps use that with the quick clot, and then there's a good chance you're going to get out of the woods and get yourself down to the hospital. And then just at the back here, a selection of larger wound dressings. Again, some of them are sticky on the back, so you can just peel them off and stick it over the wound. And a small pack there of plasters. There's a pen there just in case you have to mark the time of the tourniquet. Another small little vial of the liquid skin. A set of tweezers which are going to be perfect to help just get any stings or any thorns out of the skin. And then just at the back here I've got a Mylar blanket. If you do get injured, you do start to cool down quite quickly. Certainly if you're immobile, it just means then that you can wrap that around yourself or wrap it around a patient, something like that that may be needing it. And that there is pretty much the empty pouch. Oh, just one more thing, sorry. Just covering up, a pair of decent medical shears for cutting off clothing and that kind of thing. And these were actually sent to me by Brian over in the States, who was we'd class him as a paramedic on the air ambulances, but he's an helicopter first responder. So that was a great little gift which he sent me, and perfect to keep in the kit. So like I say, that's all the items which I tend to carry. So that's going to cover larger cuts, burns, all the way down to the smaller things like splinters, ticks, you know. So a good covering really of everything. And again, I know it's all going to be protected in a good quality case. Okay, so I've just laid all the items out just so you can take a closer look. And like I was saying, these little pouches themselves do hold a good number of items, and hopefully all the items here will cover the majority of injuries which I'm going to come across. So just having the items and a little bit of training just means if unfortunately you do have an accident, there's a good way then you can get yourself down to the hospital and get yourself back off home at the end of the day. But two last items which I do carry. One of those is a SAM splint, and I'll carry that in the rucksack. And it's just a bit of a pain carrying all this stuff at the end of the day. Like I was saying, you know, you don't want to be lying in a ditch with a broken leg or perhaps bleeding to death. Having the items on you, you know, means you can get dealt with as soon as possible. So SAM splint's always worth carrying, again for breaks, strains. This is one of the larger ones, but you can actually cut it down for smaller injuries. And I picked that up at the show last year, but again you can pick them up online. And then probably the most important part is your mobile phone. You know, at the end of the day, if you're in, you know, dire straits or you've got some kind of big injury going on, being able to phone an ambulance is probably one of the most important things. So just checking wherever you are that you can get a signal. Just means then that helps, not too far away. So there we go, it's just a real quick video looking at the other side of bushcraft, the side which you don't want to see a great deal of, which is the injuries and the accidents. The last accident I had put me in hospital for a couple of days. I cut all the way around my finger there and deep into the knuckle. I'd had about 10 stitches on the outside, and then I also had an operation to repair the tendons. And looking at it now, you know, it works like new. But the beauty of it was I could keep it clean, I could stop the bleeding. I got myself down to the hospital and got it dealt with quite quickly. So again, just carrying the items in the pack just takes the stress off it really. So like always guys, I just want to say thanks a lot for stopping by like always. Until next time, you take care and I'll see you again.